structures be owned by a community who can keep them in good repair, maintenance, use the water, expand those storage tanks if they wish. In Ukambani, among the Kamba and the Maasai people that we work with, there is a history called Mwethia, a term called Mwethia, a term that refers to the very closely held cultural value of working together to help each other in a project of mutual benefit, Mwethia. And so in our area, there is a history of good community self-help groups. In the work we've done, and in the literature on sand dams, researchers constantly say that the social management aspects of building a sand dam are much more critical than the technical, the actual building of the dam. The building of the dam is fairly simple, technically. The working with the community to make sure the community has buy-in, is helping out and is maintaining the structure, and then using the water to benefit themselves is what is of critical importance. So before we build any sand dams, we work with a self-help group. In fact, we do not do any mobilization of self-help groups. Now remember, Joshua's been doing this for 33 years. He's well known. There are over 1,000 small sand dams in the area. People know the work. So self-help groups are lined up in a queue. We have a waiting list right now of about 10 to work with our organization. When a self-help group wants to work with us, we will sit down and monitor their activities for 6 months to make sure that they are really working together and have good projects. And they're not just looking for a handout. We look at 6 capacity areas, and all of our training that we do with groups and the staff are organized around these 6 capacity areas. First of all, is there an identity, a philosophy of what they're doing, a vision, a mission statement? Do the members know the mission statement? Can they sing and dance to the mission statement? Secondly, governance. Do they have a good constitution, a committee structure? Elections are conducted according to the Constitution. Their roles are clearly defined, and their rules are enforced. Thirdly, do they have some kind of strategic planning process? Are they meeting for annual plans? Do they have a 5-year plan? Do they have metrics associated with their plan? Do they know how many trees they're planting every year? Performance and results, monitoring and evaluation. Do they have a mechanism, a way to examine once a year? Did we do what we said we were going to do? Did we do it well? 2 simple questions. Did we do what we said we were going to do, and did we do it well? Relationships. Internally, are the group members getting along with the committee? Does the committee chairman get along with the other committee members? And external, is the group getting along with the local government officials and with their donors? And number 6, resource development. Are they identifying the type of training that they need, and are they getting it? And we have a series of curriculums on each one of these topics, and we're now putting them into books in Kikamba. The first series we did was on trees, and they're books for the farmer written in Kikamba. Some people want these in Swahili or English. Tough, you're not going to get them. They're for Kikamba. If you give us a lot of money, we'll be happy to do them in Swahili and English for you. The farmers like these. The first time we gave them out, we did focus groups very fast, a week later, to find out how many people read the book when it got taken home. And the average number of people that read the book that was sent home in 1 week was 7 people. So we know they're quite widely used. And then we have training manuals for our trainers on the six areas. If in their plans they have written down that they want a sand dam, then we will work with them on that. We pull the total number of groups, right now 70 together once a year in about October, and they bring their plans with them that they have created with their group members, and we sit down with them and identify if there are things on their plan that we can work together on, such as a sand dam. We have 70 self-help groups that we are working with now. The average membership is 37. Once group membership gets about 50 or 60, we encourage that group to split into 2 groups and start a new group. And that has been very effective for us. After 50 or 60, it's hard to manage our group in our area. About 68% of the group is women. About 32% are men. The women like to tell us, and we have the data to show, that as the groups become more wealthy, as their assets increase, the number of men in the group increases. The women get a big kick out of that fact. Our work is, our training is done by adult learning principles. We do a lot of participatory work. We do a lot of drawing, small groups, drama, singing, dancing, to get the message across. Now, if the group decides that they want to sand dam, then our staff sit down with them and look at the roles of the community self-help group and our organization. The community is responsible to get the permits. These are the government permits in which they will need a blueprint that we will help them with. They will need to get permission from the owners of the land on both sides of the river where the sand dam is. And our policy is they must permit anyone to access the water. A group of 20 cannot build a sand dam and then say no one else can use the water. That is not our philosophy. Everyone can use the water. The group helps in recommending the sites, and generally the older generation, the old ladies, know where the water is, because in previous droughts they have known where to dig. So they know where those aquifers are. The group is responsible to get the water, to get the sand and get the stones, and to dig the terraces before we ever start building. It's most important to dig those terraces to keep the water and the silt up on the banks away from the river. You don't want silt in that sand dam, or you will reduce the amount of water that that sand storage tank contains. And in the long term, of course, the group will have full responsibility for all maintenance. Our organization provides help, a dam coordinator, a water engineer, to help with the dam siting and to draw the blueprints, the dam design that are now necessary for government permission. And we provide skilled artisans to help make sure that the dam is built correctly. And we provide raw materials, cement, rebar, barbed wire, tools. And then together we build the dam. We have 3 water engineers. This is Jackie, helping the community site the dam. The community has to get the water. Now remember, this is on a seasonal riverbed, and we do these dams during the dry season. So if they had to go 12 kilometers, which was the average before the first sand dam, to go and get water, they're going to have to bring that water 12 kilometers to the dam site. And this is expensive, and they have to pay for it themselves. We do not pay for that. And so they will have Harambees in order to get the money, in order to afford the transport to bring the water. The stones are usually nearby. The stones have to be collected, chopped up, sorted into sizes. The sand has to be brought to the exact site where the mortar is going to be mixed. I had to put Jacob in there. Go on. And then we're ready to start. Foundation is dug down to rock bottom. The framework is put up, and the people start mixing cement. I'm sorry, mixing mortar. Water and cement and sand. By the way, you see the women here. Some of these women have made 10, 15 dams, and they're very, very experienced. They don't have to be even organized. They just know where to go and what to do. Very skilled after 5 or 6 dams. We have skilled artisans. This happens to be Ruth, who has been an artisan working with Josh for about 15 years now. Very experienced woman. The artisan has to make sure that the framework is correct, the measurements are correct, the mortar is the right quality, the sands are the right quality and quantity and size. Generally, a group does not make a dam by themselves, unless it's a very small dam and they're very experienced. Joshua likes to bring large numbers of groups together so they can all learn from each other, and it's a great time of fellowship and fun. And once in a while he thinks all of us in the office have sat there far too long and obviously are not doing anything, and we get shifted out to help with dams. And it really is most enjoyable. The women are singing and dancing as they move. They're big assembly lines, so if you're a little weak in the knees, you can still pass stones and cement and carries. In this particular dam that you're seeing pictures of right now, there are about 150 people there, about 5 groups working together. After the dam is built, if there's a big group like that, it takes no more than 2 days before the preparations are done right beforehand. This particular dam took about 2 days to build, about 150 people. And then the dam, when it's finished, is left to cure. And it is the responsibility of the community group to take on all the curing process, to make sure that they check everything, no cracks, keep it very wet for the first 2-3 weeks. And then after the first rains, check to make sure the wings were built properly, because the major maintenance happens if the wings were not designed properly and the water goes around the wings, it will erode. And so the first few heavy rains, the community has to monitor that very carefully. So, next. How are people getting water from the sand? Number one, they scoop holes as they have traditionally for many years. Only now, instead of having to dig 10, 15 feet, you can dig maybe 1 or 2 feet and get water. And very interestingly, this is often the preferred method of a group to get water. They can put a pipe in the dam wall, as you saw in the video. One of the newer methods, which is very popular, is when the dam wall is built, a tank is added to the upstream section. So the dam wall is one side of the tank under the ground, under the sand, and then you have a tank built into the wall. And you have a pipe going into that tank, so the tank is full of water, no sand. The sand is behind the tank. And it's an easy way for people, especially if they're watering cattle, to get a good volume of water very quickly. And you can do an off-take well. We do not do off-take wells. If the community self-help group wants to do an off-take well, that's fine with us and we'll help them with it. But we don't suggest it. And that's Joshua's bias. He tried wells and boreholes and got so discouraged because of their upkeep and because they kept getting dry. And he says, you know, a well and a borehole, you're just taking out. You're not adding to the environment. You're stripping from the environment. Next. We just went through 4 years of rather severe drought.